Greetings, this is Calcat, the Calcatster, and you're watching Ultra Transformers Mush. Yes, this is a brief, well, it's not a behind the scenes, it's making of. Next episode will be, this isn't really, well, I guess it could be a behind the scenes, but it is connected directly to the next one, Commander. A line continuity, stuff like that, the binder of Retribution, the Retribution, the Transformers Bible, shows Bible thing, that kind of thing. Age of Wrath, that kind of thing. A bunch of hints about other things in the continuity of Transformers as we begin Lord Commander, Andraxus 7, Lord Commander. This becomes Lord Commander, the title. It's the second episode dealing with Starscream going mad on the planet. It's related to the Wrath stories. Those were Dreamwave, Simon Furman, and it's vaguely related to that in that his came later by about 10 years. But this is the original that it was all based on. And it was done by Blood Crow or Belinda Kelly. And I don't know this person, but she had written Andraxus, Starscream 2, which is what the original one was called. And we did Andraxus Wrath 2 not too long ago. And this is a continuation of those events. The Decepticons group goes to investigate the Wrath planet that is heading for the Terran system. This one. So it is connected to this, so it's not a behind the scenes. It's what's going to happen. And the line continuity story didn't end, so it was never finished. Dreamwave went out of business. And yeah, so a bunch of the TF fans, people were booted out because it went out of business. IDW is still around. I think they finished most of their rounds. Yeah, but other companies did stuff. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, and we have a new Transformer. We have this guy just arrived, and Select's guy. This is with a little sprue stuck on her. Decepticon Jet. This is supposed to be Red Wing. Not Dread Wing, but Red Wing. And clearly modeled after everyone's favorite Windblade. And is like a larger version, Tetrajet version of Windblade in the story. So yeah, there she is. And I'm gonna make her a female too, because she's Windblade. Yeah, and it's possible that my Thundercracker and Skywarp will be in the fantasy portion. But we don't want to add too many characters to it. We want to have the story be what the story was intended, and there weren't that many characters in it. So also with this being one of 4 remaining episodes this season, wanted to keep it all in the same continuity. Maybe one of 5 remaining. Well, 4 technically, because the finale is kind of a 2-parter. It's a little long. But yeah. I'm not sure whether the finale will be separated into 2 acts or whether it'll all be together. Stranded on Macross, or Stranded turned out to be an hour long, 90 minutes when it was filmed. So this could very well be another hour long when it's filmed. Yeah, and so anyway, that's and these are Amazon Selects, like my Moon Racer and Lancer, which you can find those 2 on Amazon. We're not sponsored by them. I'm just saying that's where you can find them. Yeah, so and yeah, I'm not sure if those 2 guys are in or not. They're up here. Keep pointing to them. Let's grab them. Yeah, here they are. Here's Target exclusive. Not sponsored by them either. Other Seeker Jets. Jet version Seeker Jets. So yeah. couldn't be the Bumblebee one because they killed him in the pilot, in the movie. Anyway, so yeah, anything else related to Lord Commander? Because of course Starscream would totally do that. But this is a different twist on it. In this particular episode, we get the impression that Starscream and his lackeys have locked themselves inside Wrath with intent to do stuff. So they're basically locked in a room, or in several rooms in a base, and they're just hanging out in there, thinking they're in charge of everything. They want to relive their fantasy. So it's like a holodeck story. It again would be a bottle show. Yeah, of course, where they're at could be projected, so it's kind of outdoorsy if they a little bit. So it's a bottle show with simulations of some outdoorsy stuff. And would have no bearing on the outside world. It's just that Starscream goes into the Matryoshka thing and messes with it, which is an interesting idea. Very, very modern sci-fi idea, all done 17 years ago or so. So it was a sequel to the other one, and yeah, so it's just another fun romp with the Transformers. And I think we're going to need Kitty Ballard to show up, and maybe one of those Robotechs. Just to establish, I like to put some of the characters that were in the previous episode in the next one, just to establish that continuity thing going on, that they weren't just introduced on a whim or a lark. They were actually introduced because they're important to the next one. That sets everything up. I know that already we releasing the other one late last night, so we don't want to give anything away. But yeah, the alternate Robotech timeline would be considerably different from the Sentinels and from the Tommy Yoon version and the Invasion itself. Completely different. So they would have, if they did anything with that, it would be totally different. That wouldn't be the same at all, because the Robotech wars didn't happen in our timeline. The Transformers wars did. But yeah, doesn't mean that the future ones couldn't show up, I suppose. Some other thing, but maybe. I don't know. But for now, it's just Space Bridge, Return of the Shadow, and the Shadow Children are the ones set in the future. We're still in 2020 here. So. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we're gonna do. And Master and Commander, that was a movie. It's a similar idea. Not really. A guy in a ship. But that's not the same thing at all. It's just Lord Starscream. I like that title, though. I'm probably going to keep it. Lord Commander. You think a Starscream would make himself Lord Commander of everything in his fantasy. Ew, and they're all trying desperately to get him out of there, which is funny. So yeah, it's not like the other one where they weren't really aware that they ran into it. It's like in this one they go into it deliberately. Like, I must be in charge. I could bet you the Regis Maximus ship thing will most likely be back. Yeah. But yeah. But not so much stock footage from the finale, from the pilot. We are going to go all the way to the end and have the whole thing all the way to the end. So 2020 is all Transformers much. And I do not know Simon Furman either. So yeah, they didn't finish it. But our version finishes it, so those of you that want the Wrath story finished, the story kind of hints at it and kind of goes there. So if you happen to be a Dreamwave fan, you will like the next episode. You will say, cool. Wow, that's interesting. But Starscream thought of it first. Okay, this is 115 minutes of, well, it's not tape, it's footage, and probably be like 25 minutes of film, but yeah, here is, the 12th, I think it's the 12th October, and this is the first evening of filming on the set of of Transformers Lord Commander. And this is literally days after that took off. Literally days. A day, maybe. And our rescue team has arrived to... this is a scene that's before the events of the story. That makes it a little clearer as to what's going on. There's the story. Because the story, opening story, doesn't have... it kind of hints at it, but I wanted to make it more like match with the narrative. And this is not a sequel. This is just that some of the characters are following up, and they've gone in search of the ship. That's basically what's going on. So it's not a sequel. This isn't part 2 of Stranded. This is Lord Commander. There's no part 2 of Stranded. Anyway, so let's do this. Yeah. Greetings. Silly Kelly. I'm going to do another one. I got to do Lord Commander. And yeah, so that was a take that we just did 21 minutes of footage right there in one shot. I'm going to go watch it. See what happens. Yeah, so. I mean, it's Belinda Kelly, so Silly Kelly had to come back to do it. No relation, but... but yeah, set up the story with Jetfires. I don't know if a Robotech Jetfire will show up, but I do have a Robotech, so we have Miria in her battle suit thing. So it is tied to the other story, but it's not a sequel. It's just the continuing of the Transformers story with some of the characters in the previous episode, which we've done throughout the series, just to give it a continuity that has some of them flow from here to there to the next one to the next one. We have this one. This one was added. Lord Commander was added, but it is from a 2003 story, and it was Belinda Kelly. This is a sequel to Andraxus 2. This is Andraxus 7, and as Lord Commander, it's the title, and it was awesome. So we said we have to do it. We have to put it in this season because it's awesome. So we are going to do it. And I'm not adding anybody extra. I just had this scene in the beginning to set up what's going on with Starscream's plan and the Wrath. Setting up the scene, So it's evident in the script that's what's going on. And we sort of jumped the gun because when we did Andraxus 2 earlier as the sequel to Transitions of Wrath, I believe it was, The Wrath of the Overlords was the title that we gave it. That one was... we had already jumped the gun, and we said, okay, the Wrath planet is making Starscream's fantasies come true, and he's on the planet. And they only get to it at the end, so it's clearly a setup for a sequel. He's only really there in that story for the last 25 minutes of a journey from another planet to that planet. So it was a 2-part, like one 20-minute and then another 20-minute. One 30 minutes and then another 30 minutes, roughly. So in this one we have, or a little less than that. So we have, they're usually an hour or slightly longer. Some of them were a little shorter than that during Corrosion of War, the 7-part miniseries. But there we were trying to tell a 7-part miniseries. We wouldn't want to stall it by having it be literally 7 hours. So it's a little less than that altogether. But in this case, Stranded was an hour. And this the script is 110 minutes. 110 pages, but I think this is going to be another hour. Probably another hour. And it's not a sequel to Stranded, it's just a follow-up in the series with the characters in the story going on to the next thing. There's a continuity, but there doesn't have to be. You can treat them all independent as independent Transformers fanfic episodes if you like, but there is a continuity if you follow it. They're little bits and pieces. They've been hinting at the underground for the last few episodes. They've been hinting at the Corrosion, the War, the Wrath, which we've shown twice already. They've been hinting at that. They've been hinting at and the fact that it's basically a Dreamwave thing that we're kind of taking off on with that one. But it's also IDW kind of tackled it too. War for Cybertron tackled it too. So we're sort of like similar stuff that came later, but all of it was inspired by alt Transformers mush.
this vast thing before 2003 in the 90s. This fan series that was on news boards and message boards and early Reddit, long before any of this other stuff. And yeah, Furman and Forward and all those people were inspired by this thing that was out there. There was even somebody pretending to be somebody, of course it wasn't. Um, yeah, so yeah. So this doing this is awesome because we get to do what these original people thought of, like in the '90s. And although this story is from 2003, it's a sequel. It's right on the edge. It's right on the edge. It would have been in Transtech magazine had Transtech magazine not gone under, in 2003. The end of the movie. It wasn't even, the movies weren't even finished when the magazine went under. 2003, 2004, but it would have been, if they had a 2004 season, it would have been in there. But we didn't with the magazine. The stories continued and were buried for many years and rediscovered on a computer drive. And we had to film them because at least there were several long ones like this one, similar to this one, that were good enough to do, and then a lot of short ones that weren't so much. No one's so really good. There's a lot of short ones. There were hundreds of scripts on them. About 45 of them were good. Okay, goodish. 21 of them were really good, and some of the long-playing ones were really, really good, and those are the 12 or so, 13 or so that we picked this season, as this season. Said, okay, these are the good ones. These are the ones we're going to use, and they're all good. So yeah, I know this is a very short first day, but we got the teaser done right here. So cool, we got the teaser done. So it sets up the probably a little bit more than the teaser actually. Sets up the what's going on, the wrath thing coming. The game changer was that Regis Maximus had been possessed by the Invid lady, and she left, and we had to we've been doing that a lot with these stories. We've been having like a game changing character that does the Mary Sue thing, or does the excellent thing, or does the heroic finale thing, and then races off and we don't see them again or something, or the next episode doesn't really matter because we don't really want it to matter that much. That's the next episode. We don't want it to have to be that confusing to anyone and overwrought okay, it's sort of like the end of a comic book series that didn't get finished. Like, the Dreamwave one. So basically we just had this open with them finding the wreckage of the ship, basically. Oh, something happened to it days ago, literally. This is like the next day, practically. 2 days later. This expedition went out and was knocked over before the ship crashed. So something happened to them. There's something on the loose. We're not sure what's going on, but that's cool, mysterious, and it's a hook. It's a good hook. So what's going on? It's cool and mysterious. It's involving our heroes and their villains. And we have a villain that's leading an expedition with a trotty girl in an exosuit and Kitty Key, which is funny. Can you figure if anybody was going to go with Sky Stance, it would be Miria and Kitty Key. Yes, Miria is of course one of the other Kitty Key paramours. The other one was in the story. Yeah. So, and we also have a dragon, another dragon. We have a snapdragon. It's finally here. We also have the Red Wing Veritech lady that can be certainly in the script as one of the other characters, because it's gonna be his like fantasy, right? When he's in their universe, he imagines them all different, all looking like Seekers. So yeah, everything showed up today, so we're filming it. Yeah, Red Wing showed up today. So that'll come up later, and let's just keep. I think this is it for tonight, but let's watch the daily and go from there. This is And yeah, it's definitely love of the fans, Transformers adventure thing, and we're doing it, and gonna get it all done probably in mid-December, so that it's released. So yeah, cool. The Transformers alt mush, not to be confused with alt right. It's just no, it's alt mush. It means alternate Transformers mush. It means fanfics. It's done on university web servers. Then I don't know if San Jose State had one, but we had a link to it back in the day. It was on. So anyway, so yeah, so there's the yeah, the thing. Yeah, you're now watching Lord Commander, Starscream. Okay, that about links us up to the storybook, basically. So this little snippet that links us up to the story, because what I did last night didn't match the story, so I stuck on another 4 or 5 minutes of them trying to get there, because they kind of needed to get there and set up the situation that was going on, because in the story it was in medias res and he was already inside the sphere or the probe thing, and Andraxus was surrounding the whole solar system, which is ridiculous. A little too much. So yeah, I've already taken some liberties with the story already. Can't be the whole solar system. They can't all be trapped in it. It's just Starscream and some of the Seekers trapped in it, thinking they're in the whole solar system. So there. Yeah. So they had to put them in there. Yeah, and they took the Regis Maximus ship with them. So that's in there too. Yeah, or at least it's somewhere else too. Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically it for that. And yeah, for now, for the moment, anyway. Yeah. So this is day 2, in case you didn't notice. Okay, this is page 9. This is page 9 of the script, and we got nothing extra. It's the 14th, day 3, and I'm just gonna start filming. I don't see any reason to do any making of here. So consider like 20 seconds of making of. Okay, fine. But yeah. So this is day 3. And this is Starscream inside the warp thing, and still inside the Matrix. He just shot the probe. He's just shot the robot, and now she's not there anymore. Okay. 7:14. Page 15, 7. So you know where to edit. Okay. Page 14, beginning of stage 15. She's put little numbers in there so you can see where you are. Let's see, Galvatron. Adding Galvatron to the background so that you visually see what it is they're talking about, because show don't tell. Yeah, show don't tell. Pause. Okay, this is going to be the Rodimus and Starscream extended scene from the story. Not extended in the sense that it's longer, but it's just a long scene. We're going to do it all in one take. It's really long. So. Yeah. So we're rolling. First part of day 3. This was the all the way up to the Rodimus scene. We're at page 20. What is it? 27. 26. 26 pages. About a third of the way through the story, actually, just about, almost. The Rodimus. These scenes flow quite well. Belinda Kelly's a good writer, so, and they're flowing quite well. I took out a lot of the exposition here just because it gives away too much, and it gives away the whole story. So it's like you're not even gonna want to read any further if you give away the whole story. So if they just say, "Oh, this is what's happening," she's telling, not showing. So let's have them discover more about Andraxus and what it is and what kind of Cat 4 civilization it is. We added the Cat 4 civilization because I thought, well, she's kind of, that's what she's thinking of, but she didn't know what to call it. So she's like, "Oh, it's like this, it's ethereal creatures," and it isn't that they're ethereal; it's that it's the toys and weapons and AI that they left behind when they evolved into the next level of evolution. They left these time devices and ambition and entropy devices on the planet, and that's what happened. So That's what's going on. The Transformers came across this during the time when Rodimus Prime was Rodimus Prime, in the 2006 or so, and it's been kicking around in there. And it turns out that Rodimus is in fact not really there. He's part of Starscream's psyche, which is interesting. The alternate Starscream Spark psyche, because he did show up and get regenerated by Unicron briefly as a ghost, so he does know, as a ghost when he was walking around, that the stuff was going on. Well, he was a disembodied spark, actually. He wasn't really a ghost, but yeah, and he can inhabit other people, which Transformers can do. Other Transformers. They can't encounter humans, just Transformers. Unless you count Suddenly Human, but that was different. Yeah, the Invid can't really stop them, so yeah, basically they have to find a kill switch or something, I would imagine. It becomes apparent later how, but yeah, they're giving away the farm. They don't want to give away, don't give away your whole hand, in a game, a card game. So yeah, so this scene had to end with him disappearing, because otherwise, yeah, they just figured everything out. No, they didn't, because he disappears, and he's all like, wait a minute. No. Of course, there's a hint. There are 2 Decepticons from outside the universe in there. Jet Smash and Skycrush are there, and they're not from his dreams. So they are the other ones, but they have not revealed that yet. Yes, so they could get out. Whether they could stop them, I don't know. Anyway, so that's so far. Going to second unit, first unit camera, but second unit. This is the finishing up the scene between Starscream and future Windblade, or other Windblade, or as he sees her, Windblade, in the parallel timeline that's going on. So let's shoot this. Okay, we've just completed what in the script is part 1, about page 40 in the script, part 1. Next chapter is Anyone Else But You. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so page 40. We're done for the evening, and page 40 is good because we did 30 pages of it in a day. That's about right. Yeah, so also we a lot of backstory and story and character that. Yeah, Transformers lore, briefly, has it that Transformers lore has it that we have the protoforms and sparks were introduced in Beast Wars, and then later carried on to beat the other stuff. Not so much in G1. G1 was just like, okay, they're robots, but they have laser cores, and they can turn gray when they die, and that kind of thing. And they can be built. They have personality cores in Vector Sigma. They took the personality core idea. Sometimes they were Energon cubes. Sometimes they were in Vector Sigma. They weren't too clear on that because there was 2 or 3 ways to make people. And they could even make them without the personality cores, like the Constructicons who were there and then there earlier in the other story. Or Constructicon-like guys that were there. A happy accident in Michael Bay's movie, second movie, which was really bad. Yeah, the Constructicons were in 2 places at once there as well, so apparently somebody was paying attention. Yeah. Then Dark of the Moon did Megatron's Master Plan, so somebody was also paying attention there. Age of Extinction did the Dinobots and some other things. Somebody was paying attention there, but that was us, giving them some backstory on there, which is why there is a character called Jaeger in the last 2 movies, after Mark Scart's real name. And of course we have Attinger, who's Cal Cat. It wasn't me playing him, but it should have been. I don't see why it couldn't have been. They could have hired me. Anyway, but yeah. Okay, the Sparks, the Transformer Souls, the other thing. Last night we were not involved in. The Sparks, the Souls, the Unicron, and all that. The brothers, you have Primus and Unicron, the Chaos Bringer and the Light Bringer, and you have Light is also Lucifer. So that's a bit weird. And then you have Wrath, the third brother from the comic books, and that's kind of what this is. There's also reference to a number of other things in here, and some little slighted in jokes, not really in jokes, or slightly in jokes. Some of the names, characters. Chasm is a character in the story. but he's described as a little dragon dude. I think he was thinking of the My Little Pony character. So from that time period. So I made it Snapdragon because it totally makes sense. So it's just Snapdragon. And the joke is there that the alien has a speech impediment, which is funny because Snapdragon has one too, and he notices it. It's not making fun of people with an impediment; it's making fun of the aliens. But the story takes us in other directions with other characters doing things. It's the Andraxus is messing with Starscream's mind. Soundwave tried to get to him. Soundwave's not actually there. He's a figment in the story. And he hasn't discovered that yet. But they've damaged part of his psyche by killing one of the Autobot that was part of his psyche, and now he's basically kind of messed up. The Andraxus is actively trying to mess with him this time around. In the story, they're all trapped inside the solar system, Cybertron solar system, inside the cube on the planet, and they're all trapped inside it. They're in the Matryoshka, they're in the planet. Matryoshka brain is a nesting doll, Russian nesting doll, a Matryoshka, Russian nesting doll. So, also Matryoshka, it could be a Dyson sphere, Dyson swarm kind of thing. Ring world type of thing is a small version of that. So yeah, it's all in there. But in this case, they're doing, sure. The idea that they're all trapped in there means that none of them are actually, they're all in a dream. I didn't want to do that. He's not in a dream. What it is he's with the other guys. He's on the ship. He's been knocked out, because that was evident in the opening scene. He's physically there because his spark is there, and the Andrax machine, the planet machine, just recognizes him as kindred, and their sparks are basically floating around, disembodied, in a sense, throughout the Andraxus holodeck thing. That's what's going on. So he gradually more and more thinks he's Lord and Commander Starscream, but he's actually just crazy, and he's not doing anything. He's probably out cold somewhere. Not in the same place that he was, but somewhere else. The probe hit them all and zapped them. And we still haven't figured out how they're going to defeat the bad guys at the end, because of the way this is built. He's like, how's they going to do that? But we have come across the dragon guy. It's page 40. And we completed the first third of the movie. A little bit more than the first third of the movie. Maybe about just under the first third. No, the first third. Yeah, because it's 100 pages, so it'd be like 30 pages would be roughly a third. Roughly here, 35 pages, so just a little after that. Yeah, so it's 100 pages. So if we got it all the way to 45, we could just say it's 90. There are some scenes where there's some drag out stuff. We didn't need to film that, so it's not going to be 100 minutes. It's confusing anyway. She goes on like these little details about different things that are happening with different planets and ships and bases and stuff, which is fine in a storybook, in a story premise, but as a script, it's kind of difficult to do that stuff. You want to show, don't tell. You want to put that, and then what that means is you want to set up your characters and story and scenario so they're doing something. You don't want to just narrate at the camera. You want them to be something when they're doing something. So either their dialogue has to be interesting, there has to be a little bit of a space fight or something going on. There has to be some jeopardy going on. Maybe there's a mystery or something. This is more of a mystery story. It's more subdued. Not a lot of space battles in it. The last one had a lot of battles in it. This one doesn't. This one's more of a thinking, weird, trippy sort of thing. Very similar to the last Andraxus story. More of an expansion of it. It's definitely different. I'll say that for. I think it works. It works because it's different from the other ones. It's definitely in the vein of Transformers Generation 2. It definitely has some of the comic book stuff in it. Starscream's ghost is apparently stuck in the Andraxus the whole time. That would be consistent with Series G1 before Beast Wars. Or during Beast Wars when he comes back. I guess he came back and then he got trapped again. That's what happened in the original story. Not in this version, because now it's 2020 in this version. So he's back to being Starscream in the floating through space. But no, he's actually there because he's technically Siege Starscream. But Siege version of Thundercracker and Skywarp are there, but they're figments of his. So he's not the other Starscream exactly. He's a Siege Starscream. So yeah, so it's sort of like, yeah, he's not the ghost one that's floating around. He's the other one. He's another one. His two buddies aren't dead, but he remembers the other Starscream and his buddies are dead because of Andraxus, who recorded the Beast Wars version of him eons ago and brought it into the future with it. So Andraxus is directly related to Starscream. So that's the reason it keeps coming back for. It's directly related. It's not that they're. Yeah, you're gonna see. I think I know how this might end. I think I have an idea. Anyways, yeah. All right, we are nearing the end of part 2 in the script, and beginning part 3. She made it as a 3-act play, and this is the very end of the other act, leading into the next one. It's made it a 3-act play, but it's a little disjointed because there's a little bit of over exposition. It is day 5, I believe. And, yeah, so, yeah, it's been all week, day 5. So, we have Friday, day 5. We have everybody lined up here, and Belinda Kelly, and I think we killed October Tone's other personality in the other timeline, but I want to convey that he isn't quite dead yet, to make this scene make sense. So he's captured him. So that's what's going on. That's all I got for the making of this so far, because I just like to tell the story. That's it, a minute. Okay, brief 1-minute making. That was page 69 and 70, bringing us up to, a 70 and a little bit, 70. Bringing us up to part 3. Holy shit. Part 3 is 30 pages. We are 30 pages from the end. So that's less than a minute. So that's all you need to know about this. That's just going on part 3, less than a minute. And so yeah, real quickie on the home stretch here. Here what's going on is, although it's not in the script explicitly as Beast Wars and Beast Machines, the spark of Starscream went back to the Beast Wars era, which was apparently millions of years ago. And then it didn't come back to the future. It stayed there. And the spark drifted through the Beast Wars time in the era, picked up by the Vok, who were near the Earth back then, and were taken to Andraxus' planet and the aliens. They took pity on him, his spark, and they rejuvenated him to live among them, but they got more and more upset with the memories that Starscream had as a Decepticon, and they sought to send him back to his own time through the other dimensions. And that's, although it's kind of implicit that something like that is going on here, but I just made it more clear that it was the Beast Wars that they're talking about. So the idea is that Beast Wars Megatron got out and went back through time when they were trying to get back to the future. They were trying to get back to the 23rd century. And he jumped out and he affected the past. In Beast Machine's timeline, he took over, so the Predacons took over Cybertron. And the Maximals had to defeat him in Beast Machines. Yep. That was some of our allies doing back in the day. I did not think it was a good idea to do the Decepticons winning for a full half a season, but well, I had no control over it. But that's what they did. But yes, Beast Machines was kind of a mess. But then Armada came later. So. And that was kind of more of a kid's show. And then Energon Cybertron, also more kind of a kid's show. But that's fine. But then the Michael Bay movies came out. So all these different continuities are going on. And attempting to put them all together was the job of Dreamwave and then IDW and then some of the other ones. And Marvel, to an extent, they didn't really make the continuity even more convoluted. But the idea is that Starscream's spark and the Wrath continued to evolve in the past. It's a Matryoshka brain. It's kind of a vast computer network thing. Matryoshka built by an ancient society, and it controls space and time and entropy. And I think I explained in the last one that, which they explain here a little bit, is that the well of souls is either good or evil. It probably isn't either, but there's like an evil version just because they store all the evil ones in one place and all the good ones in another. It's kind of a weird Dante-esque kind of thing going on. More so than Plato and Socrates. It's more like Dante's Inferno. Anyway, so yeah, it's more like Dante. That's a little later. So you have like these Starscream on this Ghost of the Wrath planet, the probe, encounters what's going on. So technically Starscream's spark interacting with a version of Wrath from another timeline affects Wrath in our timeline, or the timeline in this story. And Wrath becomes more and more angry that he's not involved and he's lonely and he wants people to be in charge and to run things. And Wrath doesn't understand that the Decepticons aren't good, they're evil. He doesn't get it because he has no concept of or moral compass. So he's just, the Wrath is sort of like Veecher in the sense that he's kind of like, it's like a child, doesn't understand. But also it's sort of like an entropy machine. It's a MacGuffin. It's a Pandora's box. It's a number of other things too. Pandora's box is a Greek thing. It's a box of the dam that Pandora opens that causes all the plagues and destruction and stuff upon the earth from Olympus. It's a Greek thing. For more information on that, go to Solo website. He talks about it on there. Sure. He did a good thing, a messed up origins thing on it. So if you want to go check that out on YouTube. No relation to saying shout out to that guy, Solo guy. Ben Solo. Go there and check that out. Not Han Solo, Ben Solo. So that has nothing to do with Transformers. The messed up origins of Transformers would be kind of fun, but he's not going to do that. The other guy did. But yeah. Anyway, so the spark of Starscream actually did lead to Wrath wanting to come to Earth. Because the spark, the other timeline, still around, floating around, and it's still part of the whole thing. And it appears that Unicron and Primus and Wrath were a thing in the lexicon developed on one timeline or two, and it's going around. But also that the Invid and the Haydenites and the Robotech Masters are kind of related to this whole thing, because the Invid not only have matrioscope powers, they're energy beings, they're sort of like sparks, but they're also slug beings when they're in physical form, and they can alter the DNA and transform into things. Very similar. So Robotech and Transformers should kind of have a crossover. They naturally do. The Invid are more biomechanical, biomechs, sort of like the Masters are a version of biomech. So the Eden Project, the Strawberry thing, and all that, that's tied in too. We get to find out stuff that would have been in Transtech Series 2 had there been a Series 2. We would have found out about Simultech's dark secrets and where they were trying to create Transformer human hybrids. And weird shit, because apparently Strawberry's people just were obsessed with that. Mainly longevity and living forever. But it was associated with the Wrath planet. And the Hate Plague was actually still not really defeated by the Matrix. It was defeated by Wrath. That through the Matrix came out and he did it, or it might have been Primus. It's probably Primus. Primus helped defeat that through the Matrix, just like when he tried to create the Golden Age again in Transformers as well. But it wasn't a god; it was a demigod. It was a space god. So Wrath put the spores out there. But he's trying to dump the spores on the star. He's trying to get rid of them. And somehow indirectly, it's a spark of Starscream causing all the problems. And that's the reason it liked him the last time it met him, because of King Starscream, Lord Commander, and everything. Turns out that actually he's not. And even though he claims like he wants to rule all of space and time, part of him doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want the responsibility, which is awesome. So what's going on is he's freaking out because he's like, oh no, what are we doing? Yeah, so that's kind of what's happening so far. Silly Kelly, and the day 5, and it's late, and we have completed principal photography on Lord Commander. This is a beautiful story. Lord Commander. Yeah. There was an odd precedence in their mentionings of somebody that had leukemia. We couldn't find anything on that because other than there's another Belinda Kelly who was a doctor. Maybe she became a doctor. I don't know, but but I don't think that she had a relative that had it and was like, because that would be a little weird if she was turned into a robot. Kind of a weird thing to do to somebody, turn them into a robot. Well, you couldn't really do that anyway, but the story is a trans fanfic type of deal. You have your alpha, beta, omega male thing going on, but not S&M. No, none of that. But you do have other than it was definitely a fanfic story. It wasn't nearly as slashy as the other ones. It was definitely well written. We used most of the lines from the story in the movie, and it was a Starscream episode because you really like Starscream, and it wasn't so much Starscream in command of everybody, but rather Starscream wishing that he had an adequate cabal of friends to hang around with. And in the story, at least, it's a little out of character for him. But let's just say, he's because he is the Siege Starscream. It's a slightly different one, so maybe, so maybe it works for him. I don't know, but he's not the Spark one from the Beast Wars. He's another one, and you get the ending here where yes, spoiler. Well, you've obviously watched it. The ending is that he blasts the Spark one, and that destroys the other timeline. So the other space. So the Wrath is essentially erased from the timeline. They hint at it in the story because they have the well appear and then disappear, or at least in the dialogue. They have the Andraxus appear and disappear. They have the Wrath disappear and reappear. So Starscream gets the idea, well, if he does the looper ending and he blows himself away, wouldn't he erase the other timeline? It's kind of like in Beast Wars when they did this kind of a similar thing. Yeah, if he kills the other version of himself that caused the Wrath to happen because he was jealous of Megatron, he wanted to be in charge. If that version of him dies, then the other version of the timeline is gone, and he's basically free of the Wrath. He's basically free of it. He's no longer in it. So they're not suggesting in this story that anybody should take themselves out. They're saying that in the fictional universe of the story, the robot doing that is amusing, and different, and a different spin-off kind of thing. And then it kind of is what happened to him. It's a little vague in the story, but I think that's what she was going for, was the idea that, because she keeps mentioning Kurt Cobain over and over again. So that was the idea that she had in mind. She's like, but what happened to Starscream? Got so angsty and full of darkness in his heart that he took himself out in that crushed Wrath. It collapsed. It's in the story. So, yeah, that's it's messed up. It's an interesting twist. Story's heavy on dialogue. Not too many space. There's not hardly any battles in it. But it's a good story. It's a good yarn. It's got Transformers in it, talking about their existence and how sparks exist and how different kindred spirits exist and all that. And Rakshi ends up as some kind of an alien thing, which the decathlon, which is related to the Vok. So that does beg the question: then how is Rakshi related to the other stuff? Is she a Vok as well? Is it actually that she's an alien spy the whole time and she's just observing the Transformers? Because that would explain a lot. That'd explain why she has ridiculous god tier powers and can beat up on a giant scorpion when she's a kid, if she's actually an alien. Also the fun idea there was that the hominids that the Beast Wars guys encountered I mean, Beast Wars couldn't be humans because it was like a million years in the past. That'd be like a pre-human, like a Cro-Magnons or something, some way back, you know. On the suggestion of some of those ancient aliens, ancient civilizations people, well, there's no proof of that at all, but it's science fiction, why not? Because a million years ago, all the technology would be completely gone. They established that, these hominids that Optimus Primal befriended eventually evolved into a society, probably had cities and buildings, covered the planet, did all kinds of things, eventually becoming a greater life form, and eventually leaving the Earth, eventually getting spaceships and leaving the Earth, and high technology, going out into the galaxy, and losing their physical forms and putting on robotic forms, and eventually they evolved into the linear ancestors of the Transformers. So they're actually, and that ties into the Vok and Unicron and the other stuff. Basically says, okay, that just chills. Ooh, that's a cool idea. And some of the fans already went there, so they're kind of implying that here, and that the whole Andraxus faith well thing, matrix thing that's going on, creation matrix is what she's talking about, basically. So a version of the creation matrix that was good or evil or whatever was befriended by Starscream, and it was inside it. So yeah, that's cool. Like the Well of Souls thing is developed as a story. That's kind of awesome. It's its own version though, and that their pre-hominid civilization evolved and went out into space and evolved beyond physical form because they'd be millions of years ahead of us. And that's why the Transformers have humanoid emotions, and appear to be humanoid and all that. It's because they were from Earth originally. That's a cooler idea than Unicron being in the Earth. It's not that Unicron was in the Earth. It's that they also built Unicron. And they also built Wrath. And they also built all that other stuff. So, there you go. So it doesn't, yeah, and Gaikini is just one of them, offshoot of them or something. So yeah, that ties it all together. G1 ties it all together to the other one. So like, oh, these guys are just super, and they would be really advanced now. They'd be like a Cat 4 civilization. So good and evil would not occur to them anymore. But they would remember it. They would be like, okay, yeah, we built the Quintessons and we built the Transformers, and in turn they built everybody else. But we don't remember much about that. We just built these spaceship planets and put our essence in them as you know, we had the bad guys, so we had, you know, the dark side, and we had the light side, and we put the light side on the other one. And sort of a third one in the middle, it was sort of the third brother, the Wrath. All of their feelings and emotions and things, and the wrath. So this isn't just wrath. It isn't just anger wrath. It's their emotions. Their high emotions. So they have like ambition drives the Autobots when they're there. So in a sense, they were still kind of talking at the end. Yeah. So they're not actually still in it. They got out. They made it go away. But the aliens are still there, and they were still observing. Probe. Alien probe. It's very similar to the Inner Light, Star Trek, but yeah. With Picard and the probe, the Cillian probe. Cillian probe, yes, of course it was called that. Of course it was. Yeah. So there's hominid civilization thing. Space aliens. Lord Commander. Starscream. Yeah, he wasn't really a demigod at the end. He was trying to be a demigod. That's pretty much it with this Lord and Commander. Cut all the so it's pretty much with Lord and Commander, and that's the end of filming. And there are no pickups, so it's cool. Excellent.